Hi, I'm Al Spade, part of Team B. We're going to be doing a presentation on Honda, particularly their motorcycle branch, as a multinational within the United States and how they came to be such. My team consists of Rachel, Faisal, Jayul, and Emily.
Honda began its business in 1937, and the founder of Honda was an engineer, and Honda has long been inclined to engineering superiority from its birth. At first, it made piston rings for automobiles. Its product was really reliable at the time, and soon they supplied its products to Toyota. And soon after, Honda began its manufacturing of automobile and became one of the big giants, automobile giants in Japan. But however, the founder of Honda felt that Japanese market was too small to get enough profits. So the founder decided to go into the global market for more profits. Now, Honda is the eighth largest automobile manufacturer in the world and the largest motorcycle manufacturer in the world. There are many automobile giants in the world, but Honda has a unique strength among them. First of all, it has never shown the negative profits from its birth. And the more impressive thing is that the Honda has consistently recorded 5% more profit margins than other competitors. Even Toyota and GM couldn't show that high level of profit margins. So what is their secret of success? Our team will analyze their global strategy and we will reveal their secret of their business.
So, Honda's entry into the United States market is a great example of how they became a multinational company. In 1959, when Honda entered the US market, they decided to enter with their large cruiser motorbike. However, what they thought was a superior product actually turned out to be a huge failure for them. They found that their bikes were not robust enough for the United States market and ended up having engine failures and other problems. So, instead of just giving up when this idea failed, Honda decided to keep working at it. They started driving around their little Super Cub bikes, as they called them, and used them for running errands as they were trying to figure out how to make their big motorbikes more successful in the United States market. So as they were doing this, the LA locals found that they really liked the Super Cub, and they started asking, retailers where they could buy one. And Honda took this opportunity to enter a niche market. They decided to leverage this. Instead of going for the image of someone in a leather jacket or a gang, they decided to use their Super Cub as a niche market product.
The Super Cub was designed to fit people's needs. Initially designed for Honda employees to travel around and run errands on, it was small and relatively inexpensive, but it had enough power to be the best option for going around town. The bigger wheels of the Super Cub made it perfect to go down rough roads without facing too many problems from the roads. The step-through design of the Super Cub meant that people that wouldn't normally ride a motorcycle could do so now. For example, women could wear dresses and not have to worry about the challenges a cruiser bike would have created. Also, because it was a 4-stroke bike, it was quieter and it didn't smoke, which eliminated other issues that consumers had had when looking at larger bikes. When consumers discovered these benefits of Honda's Super Cub, it became one of the most successful motorbikes. Honda's tagline, "You meet the nicest people on a Honda," was key, because the stereotypical motorists were not the primary consumers of the Super Cub. The success of the Super Cub was not just in the United States. What was seen as a backup plan for the United States market has now sold nearly 100 million bikes worldwide. The success of the Super Cub is a great example of how Honda's global strategies have made them a successful multinational company.
So this is another great example of how Honda utilized its local multinational strategy, wherein it went to a particular market and understood the needs of the local customers over there, and then created products that would cater to them. Now, when the marketing team entered into North America and began talking to distributors and consumers, they realized that the distributors and consumers did not associate a good quality cruiser motorcycle with something that came out of Japan. They thought that a cruiser motorcycle was something that was supposed to be an all-American brand, and hence rejected the idea of a Japanese cruiser motorcycle. Now, when the marketing team were in North America, they rode around in the streets of various cities in California on the Honda Super Cubs. Now, the Honda Super Cubs were products that Honda had manufactured earlier that were really puny motorcycles that had engine displacement in the range of 80 to 100 when compared to the cruiser motorcycles that had engine displacement in the range of 500 to 1000. Now, Honda wouldn't have dreamed in its wildest dreams that such a product would have been successful in North America. But when the marketing team rode around in the streets of various cities in California, they found out that the consumers really took to the motorcycle. They really wanted something that would be able to let them go around in the streets quickly and efficiently. Now, once they realized that, Honda pivoted its strategy and started manufacturing Honda Super Cubs and selling it into the market in North America. Now, they were wildly successful, out of which arose a very successful ad campaign. You'll find the nicest people on a Honda. One of the other great examples of how Honda really pursues its local multinational strategy is the way in which it sets up its local operations and manufacturing plants in the different countries that it enters into. Now, usually global automobile manufacturers either export their products to other countries or send in a team of experts to really set up operations within 1 or 2 years and have them do the same thing that they've been doing for a long time. But Honda does a completely different thing. It goes into the new country, hires local talent, and basically tells them what needs to be done and does not tell them how they do it. They try to have minimal interference from corporate headquarters. Now, what this does is allow the local manufacturing plant to be really flexible and understand the processes of manufacturing a quality motorcycle or a quality automobile on its own. This has allowed them to be flexible and adapt to the local market conditions easily. Now, Honda has been very successful in this strategy by setting up local manufacturing plants everywhere, from North America to India to South Asia and even in China. And this is something that the new automobile companies are really replicating in understanding how they can be successful in the new markets that they enter into.
Next, we're going to use the AAA framework to analyze Honda's global strategy. Honda utilized adaptation from the AAA framework by separating their research and development and business units to handle each market separately and address the issues that arose in those markets individually. Involvement from corporate headquarters was limited to financial and technological assistance, therefore avoiding some of the rigidity of having a centralized governance. Part of Honda's success was in its ability to analyze the local, cultural, economic, political factors that would impact their business in whatever country they were expanding into. For this reason, we have implemented a cage analysis. The cultural distance between Japan and the United States immediately after World War II could not have been larger. There was still animosity on the part of Americans towards the Japanese and Japanese manufacturers. However, Honda was able to overcome some of this lack of familiarity and cultural distance by setting up local research and development units and establishing local R&Ds and establishing ties to local suppliers. Honda reduced administrative barriers by entering into joint ventures with local companies when cooperation for government was not great.
Now we look at the G part in the cage analysis, where G stands for geographical distance. Now, for any company to go global, it must first reduce the geographical distance between its country of headquarters and the new country it wishes to enter into. Now, this was especially difficult for Honda because of its long-term strategic commitment to being a local multinational. But Honda could not afford to set up local operating manufacturing plants in every single country they wished to enter into. Now, typically, global automobile companies in such cases export their homegrown products into these new countries in the hope that these countries will eventually accept the product that they're being sold. Now, Honda followed a slightly different strategy. Rather than exporting to every single country, it used a hub sort of system where it identified certain geographical locations of strategic importance through which it could gain access to new markets. Now, an example in this regard is Honda's entry into India and Thailand. Now, Honda set up R&D centers in both India and Thailand and had very different reasons for setting up these two centers. Now, in India, it set up an R&D center for two-wheeler motorcycles through which it could gain access to markets of South Asia and countries like Pakistan and Bangladesh, where the demand for two-wheelers was pretty high. And in Thailand, it set up an R&D center for four-wheelers through which it would gain access to countries that were closer to Thailand, like Vietnam and Malaysia, and also countries like Australia. Now, both of these strategies, both of these setting up of R&D centers really helped them to gain access to new markets where it did not have to set up new local manufacturing plants again. Now, to give you an example, this R&D centers by themselves were so successful that the Honda City was actually developed and conceived in Thailand, after which it was exported to markets globally, and it was very profitable as well. Now, Honda's entry into North America is also along the similar lines. By setting up an R&D center in North America, Honda was able to exploit markets of Central America and Latin America by having a R&D for two-wheelers as well as four-wheelers.
And finally, this brings us to the E of cage analysis. Now, what we mean by the E is economic distance. So that means differences in the consumer incomes from nation to nation. This can also mean differences in cost and quality of natural resources, financial resources, human resources, the infrastructure within the country itself, any intermediate inputs, or really any information or knowledge that the company has of the country. So in Honda's case, what does this mean? Well, they developed products that were suited for the purchasing power of local countries. So that means if a country had high purchasing power, they could develop a more expensive motorcycle for that nation because that nation could afford it. In the reverse, if the nation could not afford it, then that motorcycle would be a little less priced. Now, in the US, they would cater to the middle class boom that occurred post-World War II in our nation, and that really was the perfect circumstance where people had more disposable income to buy something like a motorcycle as an additional vehicle for their family. They began to enter the United States in the 1950s, but they've always remained true to three principles. They make the product specific to the needs of the market that they are within. They always remain innovative and open to change.